Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss placental abruption. First of all, definition. Placental abruption it is the premature separation of the normally sighted placenta. Normally, placenta is located at the fundus of the uterus. So, when it is separated before the delivery of the fetus, still fetus is inside and there is a separation of the placenta, and placenta is at normal side. So then we will say it is the placental abruption. I think you remember in the last lecture, the placenta previa, placenta was not at the normal site. It was in the lower segment. Here in the abruption, it is the premature separation of the normally sighted placenta from the uterine wall. So it will always present with the bleeding. So this vaginal bleeding may be revealed or concealed. In case of revealed hemorrhage, the bleeding is all coming out from the vaginal wall in the uterine cavity. From the uterine cavity in the vaginal wall, patient will present with the bleeding. So it is a revealed hemorrhage. Revealed hemorrhage, we can assess how much blood loss is there. But sometimes there is bleeding from the side of placenta. But this all bleeding is inside the uterine cavity. So it is a concealed hemorrhage. Patient is looking pale, but we don't know how much blood loss is there. In concealed hemorrhage, difficult to assess the amount of blood loss. So incidence of the placental abruption, it is 0.4 to 2% of the pregnancy. If it is a first pregnancy, the incidence is 10%. Recurrence of placental abruption is very common. So in the second pregnancy, if patient has history of previous placental abruption, then it is 25. Now, what is the Shear's classification of the placental abruption? It is a grade 1, 2, and 3. In grade 1, mild, often retroplacental clots identified at delivery. When baby delivered either by cesarean section or vaginal delivery, when we will examine the placenta, there is some clots, but before we don't know it was abruption. Only after the delivery of the fetus, we came to know that it was mild placental abruptions. So it is a grade 1. In grade 2, 10 standard abdomen and baby is alive. So it is the grade 2 placental abruption. In grade 3, there is intrauterine fetal death. So further we will divide the grade 3 into 3A and 3B. In 3A, without coagulopathy, there is no complications of intrauterine death or the placental abruption. Only there is intrauterine death. When there is grade 3B, there is the IUD baby ends with coagulopathy. There is the DI. So what is the etiology of placental abruption? First of all, it is unknown. But there is a risk factors which lead to the placental abruption. First of all, if patient is hypertensive, so there is chance of placental abruption. She is smoking and there is trauma to the abdomen, then placenta will be separated from the uterine wall. Cocaine use, anticoagulant therapy, polyhydramnios. In polyhydramnios, what happens? When there is rupture of membrane, gush of fluid is going outside. There is sudden decompression at the site of the placental attachment. So placenta is immediately separated. It will lead to the placental abruption. Then fetal growth restriction. Sudden decompression of the uterus, for example, after delivery of the first twin or after the rupture of the membrane in polyhydramnios, it leads to the placental abruption. Then high parity is also risk factor for placental abruption because size of placenta will start increase with each number of para. So when she is multipara, placenta is enlarged and it will more chances of clinical presentation and diagnosis. First of all, we will see what will the history patient will present with the abruption. Patient will present she is pregnant, there is abdominal pain and vaginal bleeding may be there or may be. In case of concealed hemorrhage, less vaginal bleeding. In case of revealed hemorrhage, more bleeding. There is uterine. Then we will see the general physical examination. General physical examination, patient will look pale, toxic. There will be tachycardia, blood pressure may be high or low. If she is in the shock, low. If she is hypertensive, then may be high blood pressure. When there is a more bleeding, patient will present in the shock. Then on abdominal examination, we will see uterus is 10 standard, like woody hard. It's difficult to palpate the fetal parts and auscultate the fetal parts. So this tense tender uterus is the very important sign in the placental abruption. Fetus is difficult to palpate, so we cannot see where is the fetal presenting part, where is the back of the fetus. Then depend upon the size and location of the abruption, there will be some fetal heart present or not, or there is easy auscultation, or there is some palpation is easy or not. The fetus may be dead in distress or unaffected, depend upon the this amount of the blood loss. Occasionally, ultrasound demonstrate the presence of the retroplacental clot. Sometime on the ultrasound, you can identify there is some separation of the placenta and there is some retroplacental clots are there. Otherwise, it is a clinical presentation. On abdominal examination, you will see, and after the delivery of the fetus, you will examine the placenta and you will confirm that there is a investigation. First of all, blood group and the RH factor. Because patient is going to bleed, there is a bleeding, we have to arrange the blood and we have to see we have to give NTT or not. Then complete blood count to see how much anemia is there. Blood sugar levels, hepatitis B surface antigen, hepatitis C virus serology, urine complete examination, clotting profile, renal function test to see there is any complication of placental abruption, liver function test, and ultrasonography of the abdomen, which is asked. Now, once the diagnosis is confirmed, what will be management? Immediate delivery in the placental abruption. This delivery may be vaginal birth or by cesarean section. In vaginal birth, the fetus is dead, irrespective of the gestation. How many weeks she is pregnant, we will not see. We have to deliver baby because fetus is dead and there is abruption. Alive, baby is there, but it is premature. Then it is the poor chances of survival. Like she is 28 weeks or 32 weeks, there is placental abruption, fetus is alive. There is a so we have to deliver this baby better by vaginal birth because there is less chances of this fetus survival, more chances of perinatal death. So in this case, better to deliver vaginally. Selected cases of mild placental abruption at or around the tongue when the fetus is alive and carries the good chances of survival. So mean a patient is full term, CTG is good, Bishop score is good, and you will do the rupture membrane because in case of placental abruption there is a more chances of precipitate labor. Then you can deliver this baby alive and you can deliver by vaginally. So vaginal birth only in case of fetus is dead. Number 2, when there is a premature fetus and alive. Number 3, there is a live fetus around the tongue and there is a good Bishop score. So you can deliver vaginally. Simply you can say if Bishop score is high, do NTM, not me if Bishop score is low, so induce with prostaglandin for the vaginal birth. Second mode of delivery is the cesarean section. What is the indication of cesarean section in the placental abruption? First of all, baby is alive and it is full term pregnancy. If Bishop score is poor, then we have to deliver by cesarean section. Second, dead fetus is there, but there is uncontrolled hemorrhage. We have already did induction of labor, but it is a failed induction. Then we have to go for the cesarean section. Fetal malpresentation, even baby is alive or not alive, we have to do by cesarean section. History of previous multiple cesarean scar, then we can't do the induction by prostaglandin or syntocinon. Then we have to deliver baby by cesarean section. Expectant management. In case of mild degree of abruption, early gestation is there, especially when there is a second trimester. Then we can do expectant management. We will do weekly ultrasound. We will see how much bleeding is there. She is RH negative or not. Then we can do expectant management. But risk of expectant management, we have to explain to the patient that there are chances of intrauterine growth restriction and there is a chances of recurrence of abruption. Now, effects of placental abruption. Placental abruption is there. So what will happen? There are lots of complications. First of all, the mother, she will go in the hypovolemic shock. There is a DIC, acute renal failure, fetal-maternal hemorrhage, and perinatal mortality, very important. Fetal growth restriction in case of abruption in the early cases. Then we have to treat this all complication. Coagulopathy, renal failure accordingly, and postpartum hemorrhage. There are more chances of postpartum hemorrhage in placental abruption because uterus is cochlear. It is difficult for uterus to contract after the delivery of the fetus. Then we have to do the all measures as in the postpartum hemorrhage for the atonic uterus. Sometimes we have to go for the obstetrical hysterectomy at the end. If patient is Rh negative, we have to give the. Now there is the differential diagnosis. How you will differentiate placental abruption and previa. First of all, already you know abruption placenta is at the normal location at the fundus of the uterus. Previa, what is previa? It is the location of placenta in the lower segment. So how they will present, how you will differentiate. In placental abruption, patient will present with the bleeding plus pain, but in previa, it is a painless bleeding. Sometimes patient is telling that she was sleeping and there is a bleeding. Number two, blood is usually dark in the abruption, but in previa, because placenta is lower, blood is usually bright red. Fresh blood is coming. Number three, signs of shock disproportional to the vaginal bleeding, especially in case of the concealed hemorrhage. We don't know how much bleeding is going on and how, but there is a signs of shock. But in previa, because placenta is low lying, observed bleeding and signs of shock usually are comparable. So you can compare how much bleeding is there, how much blood loss is there, and there is a signs of shock or not. Number four, the first bleeding is often profuse in abruption. Gush of blood is coming. It is usually mixed blood. Blood, it is dark, mixed with the liquor. Blood mixed liquor we are telling in the placental abruption. But in previa, bleeding is usually slight at the onset. After this, it will start the more bleeding. Number five, uterus may be firm, tense, tender, woody hard. It is a word using in the placental abruption. And it is tonically contracted uterus. In previa, uterus is soft, tender. Maybe there is some contractions, but in between the contraction, it is soft. But in between the contraction in placental abruption, it is still tense, tender, woody hard uterus. Number six, in abruption, fetus may be difficult to feel and feel fetal heart rate tones may be irregular or the absent. If it is more abruption, then absent fetal heart. If patient fetus is in the distress, then maybe irregular, may be made bradycardia or tachycardia, and be difficult to auscultate the fetal on the abdominal examination because tense tender abdomen. In previa, fetus can be easily felt. The fetal heart rate tone are usually present. Number seven, the placenta cannot be felt because it is the normal site. But in the previa, it is usually because of the location in the cervical canal, in the lower segment of the uterus. So it can easily see the placenta is there. Number eight, the patient may have hypertensive disease, but the blood pressure may be low because of excessive bleeding. Because you know the risk factor for placental abruption was hypertensive. Already patient is hypertensive, but when patient will present with the abruption, patient in the shock, so low blood pressure is there due to excessive bleeding. In previa, there is usually no hypertensive disease. Only abnormality is the location of the placenta, not separation. Next number, uterus may contain the protein or patient may be oliguric or anuric. Why protein? Because history of hypertension. So if she is presenting with the pregnancy-induced hypertension or preeclampsia, that's why protein may be positive in patient with the abruption. And why oliguria or anuria? Because it is a complications of abruption on the kidneys. So patient can present with the oliguria and anuria. But in case of placenta previa, no complication on the kidney until unless there is severe excessive bleeding. So usually the urine is normal. Number 10, clotting defects may be present. It is more common. 2/3 of cases, patient present with IUD and DIC complications. But in placenta previa, blood clots. Thank you.